Hey there, you. Are you here for the next episode of Disney Lorcana? Because that's what this episode is all about. In today's episode of the Poke Advisor, or let's talk about the last episode where we featured the first story of Disney Lorcana and the magic of Lorcana. Well, this is going to continue on that in the next episode, The Roar of Rushing Ink. So we talked about Disney Lorcana, just a quick recap, the story, the inks, how we got immersed into this world, and now we're going to continue. So the second set of Disney Lorcana is Rise of the Floodborne, The Roar of Rushing Ink. Get washed away in wonder and ink. A surprising turn of events poses serious threats and untold possibilities. Ventura was stumped. Understanding software was easy, and circuits were even easier. But a coin that was so lucky it could alter the very laws of probability. In the spacious hall of Lorcana, a shiny silver coin that read 10 cents hung suspended within a bluish sphere. Can you find the coin in this picture? It was lit somewhere from above, but it also seemed to glow from within. That was part of the puzzle. Ventura was convinced that the coin was a piece of technology so advanced it only appeared to be magic, and he was determined to figure out how it worked. I don't think the coin is in this picture. Maybe this? If you think that's a logical conundrum, my good fellow, try making sense of this. The Illumineer turned, and across the hall he saw a glimmer of Basil, the great mouse detective, examining an item through a large magnifying glass. A Sumerian talisman, Basil continued. Yet another artifact to investigate. One, if my institution serves me, which should be kept far from the more nefarious sort. Ventura nodded and scribbled a quick note, but his writing was even more illegible than usual. He couldn't even read it himself. He shook the pen, then lifted the notebook to eye level. It was trembling. Everything was, Basil? Ventura said. The talisman is not electrical, if that's what you're wondering. Perhaps its facets intensify the natural. At that moment, a wave of ink, mixed ink, came crashing through an archway at the opposite end of the Hall of Lorcana and barreled toward the detective. So as you can see here, the ink with one of the brooms surfing on the ink, flooding the room. Oh, there's Aladdin's carpet. Basil! Ventura shouted. As the wave of ink washed over the mouse, there was a bright swirl of light. Basil's brown jacket became a stunning blue, and suddenly there was a contraption with gears and a propeller behind him. He was trapped to it, his hands resting on some kind of lever system. Basil's eyes narrowed, and he tried the controls. "Ha ha!" he shouted as he lifted into the air. "How extraordinary!" And with that, he was off. Shouts and giggles erupted throughout the Hall of Lorcana. Ventura saw a nearby Cinderella glimmer gasp as the ink began to change her, but the flood swelled suddenly and knocked him off of his feet before he could see what happened. The river of ink swept him, along with much of the lore that had been on display in the Hall of Lorcana, out of the hall and down a spacious hallway. Ventura looked all around for something to grab onto, but saw nothing. With a jolt, he realized that where the outer wall of the illuminary should be, there was only a jagged hole gaping over the Inklands far, far below. Ventura's time in Lorcana flashed before his eyes, incasting his first glimmer, discovering fantastic gadgets, and rubbing shoulders with heroes and villains alike. If only he could have said goodbye to Shanzei and... "Martin!" he exclaimed. His friend was leaning from a doorway just ahead, reaching toward the flood from something Ventura couldn't see. "Martin!" Ventura shouted, louder this time. Martin saw Ventura, and his eyes widened. "Hold on!" Martin called over the roar of rushing ink. He leaned farther out, grabbed Ventura's shirt, and with a loud grunt hauled Ventura up out of the flood. The two stumbled backwards until they bumped against the railing of a nearby balcony. Beautiful artwork. The two stared down at the steady streams of ink and lore pouring from the great illuminary down to the Inklands. Ventura heard the telltale squeal of Shanzei's boots as his other friend rounded the corner and joined them at the balcony. None of them said a word. Venturo didn't know what had happened or how long the flood would last, but one thing was clear. The artifacts were down there somewhere. He was going to find as many as possible before something had happened to them. Besides, he still had to figure out how in the world that coin worked. An ink flood unleashed. Alright, let's check it out. Hype, this is exciting. Okay, so we got the Lorcana sign. There's Venturo. There's the Inkcaster. Looks like he's gonna open the book. Mesmerized by its light. Inkcaster glows. Oh wow. Very musical. Okay, Venturo. Okay. We see you. Oh dang. And there's the ink. Yeesh. Rise of the Floodborne. Love that background music. Wow, that is hype. That is hype. What are Floodborne glimmers? Okay, so this is a new mechanic. When a violent explosion rocked the Great Illuminary, it rattled nearby ink casting stations and sent a flood of volatile mixed magical ink rushing through the hallways. When this chaotic mixed ink crashed into glimmers who were, for the most part, minding their own business, it changed Storyborn and Dreamborn glimmers alike. Sure, the hero glimmers were still heroic and the villains quite villainous, but they surged with unexpected power and became something different. Oh wow. Some are older. Some are wiser, at least they think they are. Some feel more inspired. Some feel more fabulous. Some reach new heights. This is cool. And some reach for new gifts. So it kind of changes the characters. Wow. While these changes may be unpredictable, they are always exciting, so pay careful attention when adventuring in the realm of Lorcana. You never know when another Illumineer's glimmers might transform and what unpredictable powers they may possess. But one thing is certain, these Floodborne are on the rise, filled with power and ready to quest. Wow, that is exciting. So that is Rise of the Floodborne. It's nice to have an understanding of what the set refers to. The roar of rushing ink. That's pretty cool. What did you guys think of this episode? And stay tuned next time and we'll go over Ursula's Return. I think that's the next set. Oof. Beautiful. Okay, I don't want to spoil too much. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what was your favorite part of this episode in order to enter a chance to win the Pokemon Center Prismatic Evolutions Elite Trainer Box. And I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks.